This week on Premier League World, we're taking a closer look at the new boys as Norwich return to top-flight football. We hear how Bournemouth survived the lows before hitting the heights on the eve of their inaugural Premier League season. And we're on tour in Germany with Watford, ahead of their first season back in the big time for 8 years.
City won't be playing in the Premier League next year.
Caught again! And Norwich lead once again. Pilkington! Sterling. Suarez! It's the inevitable goal for Luis Suarez, but they were really made to work for it by a Norwich side, fighting for their lives.
As Norwich City enter the new season, they find themselves back in a familiar position as a promoted side ready to take on the Barclays Premier League once again. But the Canaries' playoff victory over Middlesbrough has installed optimism in the players and all those connected to the club ahead of this new campaign. Premier League World spoke with those in the know about the team in yellow and green.
I think there's a great feeling around the club. The way that last season ended, such a buzz around the place, such good form, great performances on the pitch, lots of goals, and to finish it off, they had the bit of disappointment, of course, but to finish it off at Wembley, having beaten Ipswich in two semi-final legs, and that buzz has carried through. They can't wait to be back to where they think the club belongs.
Honestly, it's amazing how one football club can change the whole city's mood, whether it be obviously being promoted from the Championship's fantastic, but you know this town, this city wants to be in the Premier League, and it wants to play against the best players in the league, and we want to see that. And you can just tell if the team's doing well, the whole city is a happy place, and when they're not, then you can tell it's a little bit sombre.
It's very hard, I think, for people outside of Norfolk to appreciate what Norwich City Football Club means to all the people in the county. It's a one county city, a one county club. So it's where they feel Norwich City should be operating. They should be playing against the country's biggest clubs. So that buzz just carries it through. Everyone's so excited, and it's where they belong. And there's a special community atmosphere around the club as well. So it's a very passionate place for Norwich City, and they just cannot wait to be taking on the big boys and fighting for survival, which will of course be the main aim, and maybe surprising a few people along the way.
Also looking to surprise people will be bright young manager Alex Neil. The Scot joined during a difficult period last season, but helped them clinch promotion, and since then the club hasn't looked back.
I think the fact that he's still played, Alex Neil, I think only a couple of years ago, I think he'll bring that knowledge of what a team needs, what the players are still thinking, and I think he's used that last season in the second half of the season to get them promoted, and I think they'll take that forward to the Premier League in knowing what the players are feeling, how they need to be mentally towards the games, and I think he's worked that brilliantly since he's been at Norwich.
He brings hugely high standards. He brings passion. He makes things so straightforward that the players will almost run through brick walls for him and for each other. And it's something that Norwich didn't have probably in certainly the season they got relegated. and the first half of their championship season. He's very determined and ambitious, but he's also settled. As a man manager, he is getting the best out of people.
Watching him on the sidelines last season, he wasn't afraid to say how he felt and show the players what he wanted. So I think he'll take it in his stride, which he has done so far. But it is a big step up the Premier League. It's like no other league in the world.
He's going to be learning, and in some ways maybe the players can help him out with that. But I don't think Norwich fans would want anyone else in charge of that group of players at the moment.
They return to the top flight with a number of players who featured in their last Premier League campaign. The likes of England goalkeeper John Ruddy, Gary Hooper and skipper Russell Martin have all suffered relegation and will be determined to prove a point this time around.
It's a massive bonus that they've got all these players that came down from the Premier League only a few years ago. I think that experience for them is going to help them massively. I think it gives them confidence in knowing what's going to come this season.
I think that's already ingrained in the players who were around then and will be around for this season. They won't be submissive. They won't be passive in terms of playing their football. They will be getting at people, getting in the opposition's faces, which Alec Neil will demand from them anyway. But they will know why it went wrong, I think, in that season 2 years ago. And yeah, it will definitely fuel them to prove a point. They've all got a point to prove that, they're not just the Premier League players playing in the Championship.
When you haven't played in the Premier League before and you jump up, you're kind of a little bit in awe of the other players that you play against, that you see on telly all of the time. So most of the Norwich squad will be used to that, will be able to cope with that, and I think that'll then help them in the first few games of the season when you want to get off to a good start.
Compare that to fellow newcomers Watford and Bournemouth. Norwich City have the most experience when it comes to playing in the top flight. That knowledge could be invaluable as they head into the new season looking to restore their Premier League pedigree.
It's so easy to feel down on yourself because you're going to lose most of your games when you're down there. You have to accept that. And I think if you can get your head around that and be positive, take the positives from as many games as you can, I think Leicester showed that perfectly last season in the way that they had a really tough season. They lost a lot of games, but suddenly you pick up a win, you get a bit of confidence in the team, the character in the side suddenly builds, and that's what you need to do. You need to be positive as much as you can.
I think there's a hunger. A lot of fans will tell you, and I would probably agree, they probably shouldn't have been relegated 2 years ago because of the quality they had in their squad. This season is their chance to prove exactly that. They've got a manager who has already showed that he can get more than the sum of the parts that he's got to work with out of his squad. And that's really the exciting factor. And by all accounts, and having watched them a lot, there's a lot of quality in that squad. We've just got to go and prove it now.
Chelsea were crowned Premier League champions last season, capping a fine campaign for Jose Mourinho's men. One of the star performers was Cesc Fabregas. The Spaniard, who signed from Barcelona in the summer, finished far and away the division's top goal provider with 18, just falling short of Thierry Henry's record of 20 assists. But can you name the player who created the most goals from set plays last season? Find out later in the show.
Still to come this week, we're with Bournemouth in the USA as the Premier League debutants take Philadelphia by storm.
Whilst every story, has a foundation and a beginning, there really were some tough times. The club had, enormous financial problems. Within 12 months, I had to put the football club into administration. Money just doesn't guarantee a place in the Premier League. This is a very strong group of players. Our strapline is together, anything is possible.
AFC Bournemouth's rise to the top level is nothing short of astonishing. It's a club that suffered relegation and flirted with bankruptcy. Now they're preparing to enter the unknown as their first Premier League season approaches.
It was a fantastic moment to seal promotion for Bournemouth. A lot of people wouldn't have believed it possible. So to do it in front of our own supporters, it was an incredible night, and to see what it meant to everybody will live long in the memory.
We followed the club across the Atlantic for a pre-season training camp in Philadelphia. Not just a signal of how far the club's come, but also a statement of intent from the chairman.
I'm a great believer in psychology. The great elite Premier League sides are all in America. You know, Manchester City, Chelsea, Manchester United, Tottenham, Liverpool. And suddenly for the boys to be here on the same continent as those household names, I think has elevated their self-belief and their status that, wow, we are actually a Premier League club ourselves now. Why wouldn't we want to come to the States?
Coming out here was a really worthwhile experience. I think we've got the name of Bournemouth out and about into the United States. But more than that, we brought the team together, and it's been a really intense few days, but very beneficial for everybody.
Only 6 years ago, Bournemouth were on the brink of being relegated from the 4th tier of English football. With the club in administration, they've been punished with a hefty points deduction. But a goal from club legend Steve Fletcher confirmed their Football League survival in the final home game of the 2008-09 season. A spectacular story inspired by Eddie Howe, who'd only been in charge for 5 months.
He's been with the football club since he was 11, so he is a Bournemouth man through and through. And at the same time, and I've joked with Eddie many times, we couldn't afford to bring in another manager, so it's better the devil you know, and we just sort of threw caution to the wind and brought him on. And because he has this insatiable appetite for self-development and personal belief, that we managed to save ourselves.
Bournemouth's rise is reflected in their players, a close-knit group who've had to overcome adversity. Having been with the club since they were in League One, Captain Tommy Alfix witnessed the evolution of the South Coast side.
A lot of us have had pretty bad setbacks in our careers through injuries or whether that's getting knocked back by other clubs. And, you know, we're all sort of a bunch of misfits that have been brought together and done something pretty special.
The Bournemouth faithful travelled from far and wide to watch the club play their first overseas friendly as a Premier League team. For some, the prospect of facing the likes of Chelsea and Manchester United is still sinking in.
I never thought for 1 minute AFC Bournemouth could get to the Premiership. I didn't think I would ever be in America following AFC Bournemouth in the Premier League. I thought we'd more likely be following Bournemouth at Aldershot.
It's been unbelievable for the fans. Any fan of a football club wants to see success, and to obviously have the amount of success we've had in the last couple of years is obviously been great for them, and they deserve it.
Fans are everything, you know, with a football club. You know, chairmen come and go, owners come and go, players come and go, managers come and go, coaches come and go. The one common denominator is supporters. Nobody can believe that what was perceived to be a possible third-round FA Cup draw against one of the elite teams will now be the norm every single week for this football club.
I joined the club when we was in League One, and from the day I joined, the manager brought me in, and it's been a real good journey, successful journey, and one that I'm really proud to be part of.
As the tour reached its final stages, the manager's thoughts turned to what's needed for Bournemouth to survive in what they know will be the most demanding season they've faced on the field.
Well, home form is key to any team. We're hopeful that the supporters can make a real difference. As you say, a tight stadium. I think that's to our benefit. So we're looking for every advantage that we can get and to try and turn Dean Court, as always, into a fortress.
A 4-1 win over MLS side Philadelphia Union was a timely confidence booster ahead of their season opener against Aston Villa.
We have a habit of defying all those odds, and I have every confidence that this group of people will do the Premier League proud.
We need to make sure that the place stays upbeat, because we're not going to win every game. The Premier League's a tough league. You are going to go places and get beat. But as long as we're getting beat, doing the right things, playing the right way, then I'm sure in the long run we'll win more games than not.
I just think we're going to be tested on every level. So technically, tactically, physically, emotionally. We're going to be tested in many different ways, and I just think it's a big step up from the Championship on all levels. So we're trying to prepare as best we can for the toughest test of our careers.
Earlier, we asked if you could name the player who assisted the most goals from set plays last season. Fourth on that list, Jason Puncheon. His impressive season contributed to Crystal Palace securing a 10th place finish, their highest ever in the Premier League. His 5 assists made him one of the league's most improved performers last term. He was one behind Leighton Baines. The Everton fullback has 46 career league assists in all, making him the most creative defender in Premier League history. His 6 from set plays last season, however, was not enough to see him top this list. Cesc Fabregas went one better with 7. Signed from Barcelona last summer, the Chelsea playmaker set up more goals than anyone else last season, but comes out number 2 on assists from set pieces. Number 1 is Chris Brunt of West Bromwich Albion, whose tally of 9 is 2 more than Fabregas. Brunt's deadly left-foot deliveries helped Albion maintain their Premier League status for a 5th season running, finishing comfortably in mid-table.
It's been 8 long years since Watford last appeared in the Premier League.
You're going to see attacking football because we score goals, but you're going to see fans that are passionate and you're going to see players that are passionate. Both of them combined is a very dangerous mix.
It will be difficult, but we have a great possibility because we have a plan. And when you have a plan, it's easy to make it happen.
With the idea to play with time, to play with the ball, to try to make something special for the future.
You know, we all want to be in that starting 11 come, you know, August the 8th. So it's just like a positive energy around the whole Watford FC camp at the moment.
After losing the playoff final in 2013, the Hornets finished 13th a season later. So in April, when the players found out they'd been promoted on the penultimate day of the season, they couldn't wait to start the celebrations.
It was heartbreak losing at the playoff final, and then the second year things didn't go out well. We were through a transitioning phase, and luckily it was third time lucky and we managed to do it.
Watford have been in the Premier League twice before and managed some memorable wins against high-profile opposition.
Great chance! Yes! It's moments like this that makes the English Premiership so special.
Plus some spectacular goals. But they finished bottom in both campaigns, so they're under no illusions about the challenge ahead.
It's all over for Watford, relegated to the Championship.
We're not only going to come into the Premier League and be like here we are, we're kind of going to come in and say, right, we want to stay here, and that's going to be the main message from all of us, and hopefully we can be successful at that, but we're definitely going to have a massive go at it, even if we're not successful.
Remarkably, despite their automatic promotion, there's a new manager in place, Quique Sanchez Flores, their 5th in under a year. The Spaniard replaced Slavisa Jokanovic, who'd led the team to the Premier League.
I'm looking for another period of my career. The first 12 years is gone, so I am starting in other country, and I am starting in other part of my career with more experience.
It didn't really matter who the manager was. We tried to play and we were successful. And but obviously, as a player, you wish to have this stability, to have one manager, and yeah, to play well under him.
He may be new to English football, but Flores has an illustrious track record, having already managed some of Europe's elite sides.
With the titles we won in the past, we try to collect this kind of experience we learned in this kind of teams like Valencia, Atletico Madrid, Benfica, and of course we try to give all the best and thinking about only the future.
And now we have an experienced manager around us, a manager that used to play in a top level, and we need a manager like him, I believe, to manage the whole situations, you know, and to help also the players that is coming in settle as soon as we can, you know.
We caught up with the new boss and the reshaped team in Germany during pre-season. So far, Flores has signed 10 new players, more than any other Premier League club.
I think very important that you need experience in the Premier League. I think we have a great team, but we still need new players, which we signed a few of them, and everyone has his own strength to give it to the team. And for Barami, I know him since when I used to play with him in the national team, and I think he will help us. He will be a strength for us.
The signs that we already had was great signings, and I know Capu, of course, Varane from West Ham, and it's great to have a players that had play in the Premier League, you know, because we know that we're gonna need it.
Watford's hopes don't rest solely on their new signings. Much is expected of club captain Troy Deeney, who's now scored at least 20 goals in 3 consecutive seasons.
I'll definitely be aiming for that. I'm not going to be sitting there and go, oh, if I scored 10, I'm happy. I won't be happy with that. I need to hit 15 plus for it to be a successful season.
Troy is a good reference for the high reference for the club, for the fans, for the team, and inside this group, of course, Dini is one of the main players.
And the striker can take heart that many players have successfully graduated from the Championship to the Premier League.
I wouldn't say I take inspiration, I take confidence from it. I take confidence from the fact that these guys have had backgrounds of myself. Charlie Austin is a perfect example of that. Vardy, more recently getting in the England team, both of them. So, that's an end goal for everyone to achieve. Another one you missed out there was Lambert. Lambert's a perfect example. He's come from Bristol Rovers, Southampton, right the way through it. Obviously, Danny Ings has gone to Liverpool as well.
As soon as we got promoted, it was sort of like, who's going to be our first game in the Premiership? And then when the release date came out, I think it was June the 17th or something like that. Obviously, everybody was glued to Twitter or whatever, and we saw it would be Everton. And since that day, we've all been focusing.
At the moment, I am very happy because the players try to learn every time. They ask about everything. I think that we create this kind of atmosphere, and finally we are going to grow up together.
We were involved in a horrific accident. A car hit us, the other car was overtaken about 90 miles an hour. 3 young kids in it, 17, all got killed. And my closest friend, Brian Tylo, who's the chief executive at Bournemouth, Brian got killed as well.
Next week, Harry Redknapp talks poignantly about his near-death experience and how losing his friend helped him strive for managerial success. But for now, that's it from Dave Beckett and me, Ian Darke, as we await a brand new season.